Humans have a hunger for hidden or secretive discoveries and find satiation when questions are answered. The knowledge humans crave about the unknown is what keeps scientists and researchers asking questions humans thrive to know. Books, films, even entire genres of entertainment have been dedicated to the tempting sensation of finding a once-hidden secret in the middle of a sprawling jungle. We are continually amazed at the new discoveries made by scientists and researchers across the globe. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we'll be taking a look at 3 jungle discoveries. The hidden plain. There are a few places you might expect to find a plain, but you would be forgiven for thinking the last place on Earth you might stumble upon one is in the middle of the thick jungles of Papua New Guinea. So, how did a World War II B-17E bomber end up in one of the most unlikely spots on the globe? Well, the story spans decades, countries, and even continents, but we can first begin in 1941, in the period when the USA entered the Second World War. The United States had remained uninvolved in the war effort between the Allies and the Axis up until this point. That was until the attack on Pearl Harbor, which drove them to join arms with the side that would ultimately win the war. While the US sent many soldiers to fight the Nazis in Europe, it was also focused on dealing with the threat of the Japanese Empire after the Pearl Harbor attack, and the US subsequently sent hundreds of thousands of men to fight in what is known as the Pacific War. While not as commonly thought of in comparison to the combat in Europe, at least 10,000 US men lost their lives in the Pacific War. During the fight in the Pacific in 1942, one specific plane, a B-17E Flying Fortress, was sent on a raiding mission to the then-occupied island of New Britain in Papua New Guinea. While the plane suffered damage from the defenses of the Japanese forces, the plane did not crash from damage alone. In fact, the plane was forced to make an emergency crash landing due to the plane running totally out of fuel. The Flying Fortress was supposed to land back in Australia, but instead the B-17E nosedived directly into the Agayambo swamp on February 23, 1942. The plane's captain, Captain Fred Eaton, and the rest of the crew survived and was forced to withstand the harsh wilderness of the New Guinean jungle. For 6 weeks, the men managed to fend off starvation, the sweltering heat, as well as diseases in an unfamiliar region, and eventually managed to reunite with American troops. Despite the whereabouts of the men being resolved, the plane lays in the New Guinea jungle for decades afterwards, leaving many to wonder of its condition. Fast forward to the 1980s, and plans to retrieve the relic bomber began to move forward thanks to the efforts of pilot and collector David Talashay. It would only be in 2010 that the infamous bomber, known in plane circles as the Holy Grail, would eventually be recovered. Seen as the most uniquely preserved of the world's 4 recovered B-17E airplanes and given the nickname Swamp Ghost, is a fascinating time capsule preserved from one of the most historically significant periods in human history. Raised by monkeys. In this part, we'll be learning about the infamous tale of Marina Chapman, the woman who was raised by a group of capuchin monkeys. Due to the nature of the story, not much is known about Mrs. Chapman. Born in Colombia around the year 1950, Marina Chapman had a childhood very different to most people. According to Chapman's own testimony, at a very young age, she was mysteriously taken from her village, which she was too young to know the name of, before being abandoned for an unknown reason in the jungle of Colombia. Being a small, vulnerable child, Chapman states that she then spent the next number of years in the company of a colony of capuchin monkeys, a small species of monkey found all across Central and South America. The monkeys apparently took a liking to Marina, as she stated that they looked after her and managed to lead her to safety for what she estimates was a total of 5 years spent in the jungle. Eventually, Marina was found by a group of hunters in the Colombian jungle and was once again brought back into civilization. Again, according to Chapman, at this point she was unable to speak any human language, and she fell into a series of problems as she re-entered human society. Marina claims that she was eventually sold and became homeless and lived on the street, and at one point, Marina states she was taken in by a mafia family as a slave. but Marina Chapman's life took a fortunate turn for the better as she got older. Neighbour and friend Maruja, her daughter Maria, adopted the young girl when she was roughly 14 years old. Marina had finally become part of a family. The newly formed family unit, with connections to the city of Bradford in the UK, moved over to the green and pleasant land in 1977. Once there, Chapman became a nanny and has lived in Bradford since 1983. Whilst this is an amazing tale, there's still some ambiguity about Marina's story. Since there is nobody to verify the woman's tale, we have no concrete way of proving whether what she says is true or false. Regardless, the story of a young girl rescued by a family of small monkeys has proven to be so fascinating that National Geographic produced a documentary film about Maria named Woman Raised by Monkeys in 2013. Hidden Ancient City. Discovering the ruins of an ancient city surrounded by the sprawling plant life of a jungle is a fantasy that many of us had in our youth. There's still something about uncovering the remnant of ancient civilizations that just gets the blood pumping. Many ancient ruins may still be out there waiting to be discovered. Since new technologies are allowing scientists more and more ways to find what was previously invisible, the possible outcomes for future ruin discoveries are looking more and more positive. One amazing example is the network of Mayan ruins discovered in 2018. The Mayan people have been seen as a cornerstone of human civilization, with a deep and complex understanding of architecture, culture, and religious practices that still amazes historians today. Yet, nobody was expecting the extent of the discovery made in 2018, when over 60,000 Mayan ruins were uncovered in Guatemala. While archaeologists had already spent years mapping out the region known as El Sots, the development of LiDAR technology allowed researchers to create a detailed map of the area's surface from above, much faster than before. To give an idea of how dense the jungle is in this area, one archaeologist stated that one of the finds was within 150 feet, but due to thick vegetation, they had never spotted it. The LiDAR technology shaved years off of the team's overall workload, and it has uncovered an unbelievable amount of previously unknown Mayan ruins, including walls, moats, roadways, and fortresses. Some of the most interesting finds from the discovery include a 7-story pyramid that was completely hidden by foliage, as well as an intricate network of raised highways that connected all of the Mayan cities in the local area. These networks are particularly fascinating as they show signs of heavy use, indicating that trade between cities was frequent. Stephen Houston, a professor of archaeology and anthropology at Brown University, stated this discovery is one of the greatest advances in over 150 years of Mayan archaeology. LiDAR imagery is a new tool that spots archaeological points of interest that would otherwise be invisible to us humans. Using remote sensing technology, LiDAR uses beams of lasers pointed at the ground to create an image map of the area's surface. The beams then bounce back and the wavelengths are measured, giving an accurate picture of what lies below. The find in Guatemala has made historians completely rethink what they thought of the Mayan people. Observing the thousands upon thousands of ruins, it could be possible that the civilization population was 3 to 4 times bigger than we once believed. Mr. Estrada Belli said, "With this new data, it's no longer unreasonable to think that there were 10 to 15 million people there, including many living in low-lying, swampy areas that many of us had thought uninhabitable." One caveat to this discovery is that while the find is a phenomenal discovery, researchers have their work cut out for them, as the El Zot site is likely to house more than 3,000 years of Mayan civilization. This means that lots of the finds may be from completely different periods in Mayan history, and it'll take a long time to accurately study and catalogue each and every one of them. Still, it goes to show that there could be an untold number of things waiting to be discovered in our planet's jungles. But what do you make of these jungle discoveries? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.